Welcome to this session of Rewrite Your Reality. I'm your host, Eva Nordstrom, and we have with us now the wonderful Dr. Bodhi Simpson. Bodhi is a visionary artist, an art therapist, and teacher based in Maine. She is the award-winning author of The Girl Who Cried for the Earth, a story of hope, healing, and possibilities. It's a beautiful book. Her work integrates imagination, compassion, creative expression, story myth, and deep ecology, and she enjoys supporting people in discovering the method of expression that's most comfortable to them so they can heal and live vibrantly inspired lives. Welcome, Bodhi. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, Eva. Thanks so much for having me.
So tell me first about the book, because I read it and it's wonderful and actually made me cry. And but tell me about is that book like a personal expression for you?
Yes, so that book, it started out as a story that came through kind of part way that I put away. And then during COVID time, I was grieving. I was painting. It was in a sense like my own, art as healing process
Mm,
of just being with the feelings of what was happening in the world, with what happened in my own story personally, with what I thought I believed to be true about myself and about everything. And so it was like this full circle of like kind of going back to the beginning, but being with the wholeness. I don't even know how to really put it into words.
right.
And so what happened is over time, I ended up with about 30 paintings. And when I spread them out, I realized they were connected to that story I had written years prior.
Oh, wow.
And so the middle part of the book is actually the vision that the
Mm.
girl was crying for. That when I was writing the story, I didn't have that. So that really came in through inspiration and
Yeah.
through the creative process.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. So there's like a part in the book you have in the back, you sort of have words of wisdom, once you've read the book. And the first one is, we must wake up from our usual ways and leave behind old habits, beliefs, and patterns of being to create the bridge to a new beginning. And I thought, wow, I kind of got the chills because that's like very much like the essence of this whole summit. So how do we use creative expression to become aware of those unconscious patterns?
Yes, I'm so glad that you saw that part in the book. Those little words of wisdom are just what came through to me as really important through the
Yeah.
paintings. And, what it really was speaking to me about is the way that so many of us, we're just so busy. We don't take the time. We just don't have the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Become conscious of what we're thinking about, what we believe to be true, what kind of actions we're taking, you know?
Yeah, yeah, we're kind of just on autopilot, checking off our lists, and yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's just the culture right now. And so as far as creative expression, we can use our creative process kind of like I did in how I created the paintings for the story to
Yeah,
become more aware of like what am I thinking about? What
yeah,
do I believe to be true? Why do I believe that to be true? All of
yeah.
these things. So it can become like a visual, something tangible that we can actually question and get curious about and work with.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, and and visualizing things and then seeing them, that's how we kind of operate in the world. Everything, like our thoughts become pictures, right? And so that's a powerful, I could see how that would be a powerful sort of tool. And you even have like in the at the back of the book, you also have these sort of like visualizations and creative practices that you can do yourself, which is lovely. So that's all there. But so what is the importance of a daily creative practice? Is there a creative practice that you would recommend to help us start?
Yeah, so there's it's so important. And for me, I had tried like different types of meditation over the years, and um I really had a hard time with just sitting in silence because all my thoughts were kind of, and I know that's the point is to allow the thoughts to be to
Right.
move through, but for me, I realized I finally gave myself permission to allow art to be my meditation. And so
Mm.
it's like there's so many benefits. It's fun for one
Yeah.
thing. It can be
Yeah.
terrifying for some of us. So some people listening might be like, ew, no, Bodhi, I would not want to do creative meditation. But once we can like release the need for anything to be right or you know, worrying about showing anything to anybody and just allowing, basically, I keep doing this with my hands because it's like you take, basically, your
Yeah.
subconscious material becomes visible and we
Yeah.
can work with it. And also, there's so much. I mean, all the time, there's so much happening in our lives and in the world, but especially right now, there's a lot of overwhelm that many of us are feeling and tuning into. And it can be a wonderful way just to regulate your emotions, because that's one action that I'm learning that is really important that where we can make a difference is to step out into our life in a really grounded, centered way so that other
Yeah.
people can co-regulate with us.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And I love that what you said about art as meditation, using art for meditation. I think that's actually that is such a wonderful thing, I think, for a lot of people to hear because how many people do you meet and they're like, I can't just sit there and meditate. I can't meditate. I mean, I've said that a million times. I'm like, oh, people are like, do you meditate? I'm like, I can't really meditate. I just sit there and think, but like I can't meditate. But if you can have another outlet to do it and use art to meditate, I mean, for sure, like if you sat there and even like colored in a coloring book, you know what I mean? Like it feels different. It does feel like you're meditating or drawing or creating something or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's just more, you can think of it more like an active meditation.
Yeah.
And the power of I'm just going to use my hands today. The power of creative expression is that we're using our bodies. So we're not just up here in our heads. We are moving it through our bodies so we can be connected in our hearts and in our minds at the same time. So more of an
Yeah.
integrated space.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
yeah.
awesome. So what does it look like if somebody comes in and they need art therapy to work through some sort of some problem in their life or some issue? What does it look like? Like how do you walk them through it? How do you do it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'll answer that and then I'll piggyback on your other question earlier, like around a creative practice. So I can give you a
Yeah.
couple of samples.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody has different reasons that they are seeking support at different times. And, some people come in and they realize, I really like talking and that's really my way and that's great. And I try to also, once somebody's comfortable, if they're more comfortable with talking, for instance, just to slowly invite these little mini creative practices, these little mini creative check-ins. They can be 5 minutes, they can be 10
Mm.
minutes.
Okay.
And then often what people will find is, wow, that felt really great. Or, oh my goodness, I've been in therapy for 30 years and I feel like I just got to the root of what was underneath all my thoughts that
Right.
we're talking about. And
Right.
so it's really different for everybody. And some people come in and they love being creative, and we can really dive in based on what they want to work on. But I would say, like, for anybody, for yourself or anybody that would like to start, I would say it can be really helpful just to get some materials. So you
Yeah.
can, with a creative practice,
Yeah.
finding that like space that you feel is sacred and uninterrupted. It could be like for me, it's down here. I'm in the basement office. Like I have a space. It could be
Right.
sitting outside. For some of us, we have little kids and we sit in our car. So it's wherever it needs to be. But get
Yeah.
the materials, and I always recommend like get a little sweet little basket, a nice little container, put some pretty fabric in there, and get some color pencils, some markers, some watercolors. Just there's the basics
Right.
and
Yeah.
make it fun.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And or like you said, even a coloring book or anything. And then all you need to do to start is play. So for instance, like watercolor is what's coming to mind right now. I have a
Right.
lot of people I've worked with who they're like, oh, I'd love to do watercolor, but I haven't done that since second grade. So we might just like drench the paper with water and then just play with the colors that feel like they're calling to you. And like
Right.
the teal behind you is so pretty. Like I might pull that teal and just play with what the teal feels like. And so
Mm.
what you can also do at the same time, for those of you that have a lot going on up here, which in the beginning of this process, many of us do, you can also journal a little bit with what's coming through because you're in a receptive state at that point. So
Okay.
you can just be like, oh, wait. I've been worrying about this. I've been thinking about this. So anything, it can be fears, it can be worries, it can be inspiration.
Hmm.
Basically, the art material can help you get to that receptive state, and then you could potentially do a little journaling. Um, And another practice that I'm just going to put out there for it's a more structured process because
Right.
some people say, okay, well, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't like that. So yeah, tell me what to
Right.
do. I need structure. So
Right.
again, there's no right or wrong. We all have different ways of feeling comfortable entering into these kind of processes. Um,
Hmm.
but one, so this one I would say, make sure you have some special time on your own. And you could integrate something many of you have probably heard of called parts work, where we
Hmm.
basically you create a visual expression of sorts of like for what we're talking about today, maybe like that inner critic, that part of you that
Right.
judges, that part of you that's constantly telling
Right.
you, you're not good enough, you can't do this.
Right.
Anything that's maybe like not aligned with how you'd like to be thinking and
Yeah.
feeling or with your heart. So you can
Right.
create a character. It can be a emoji. It can be, you could have a lot of fun creating a character. You could even print something off Google Images and glue it to the paper that feels like that character. It could be a blob of colors, whatever it is. But basically, with your intent, so with our conscious intent, we are now making visible this part of ourselves, which
Hmm.
allows a little separation to go, okay, I have this part, this overthinker part that's constantly judging me, but it's not my wholeness. So we have that dual awareness. And then once you have that image that represents this part, then as you look at this part, you can do a little journaling. What does this part tell me? What are the voices from this part? And so you can, if you have a therapist that you work with, it doesn't have to be an art therapist. This is also great material to take to a therapist, or again, just for your own process. Basically, these processes, Eva, are ways to be really honest about what we feel and what we think,
Yeah.
so that we can question all of it and then live more,
Yeah.
yeah, live more conscious
Yeah.
based on what we
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
believe to be true.
Yeah.
You know?
And sometimes it's like awareness is huge, right? It's the first step. And a lot of people, they might walk around feeling a little shitty and not really be like, wait, what is wrong? And just to sit down and be like, let me think about this. Like, why don't I feel great? Like, why don't,
Yes. Yes.
that awareness
Awareness is
is
everything.
huge. Yeah, it's huge. It's the first step, right, in getting out of the matrix. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. And then when people make the things in these processes, like what I'm hearing is kind of it doesn't have to be perfect. You're not showing it to anyone. It doesn't get a grade.
Yeah, right, right.
Um,
You're not going to like put it in a frame. Maybe probably you might, but probably not. But yeah, it's a way to be with, right, to become more conscious and more aware. And then once you're aware, we can't go back to being unaware. Then
right.
you can go
No,
deeper with
that's
like, wait a
so
minute.
true.
Like
Yeah.
when I did it, I was like, wait a minute, who told me that in my life? Oh, hey, this
Right.
was a teacher. One time I heard this message from a teacher, and I've been holding this shame my whole life because I believe that to be true, or a kid in school told me this, or a parent.
Right, right.
You
Yeah,
go
people,
deeper
it
and
can be
deeper.
one thing that you then start to kind of like loop and then
Yes.
if a couple things happen similar, and then it's just like that's it. It's in your mind and it's a loop. Um, and then having that out on paper, yeah, that must feel, and like you said, I love that you can't basically unsee it once you've seen it. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no.
yeah,
What you just said too about the loop. So we're so much in our head. But what I've learned through my own process and through working with others is that there's also a feeling. So part of the reason we believe it to be true is because it feels true.
right.
So also like you could do some other additional work like with body maps or like where am I feeling this? Oh, that's shame.
Yeah,
Where the heck am I feeling that? And what's this? Is this even have to do with anything going on in this moment?
right,
You
right.
know?
No, absolutely. And you said something about body maps and whatever, but you help people kind of develop personal daily self-care, right? That's beyond just creating, right?
Oh
What
yeah.
is it and why is that important?
Yeah, oh, just daily self-care in general, just
Yeah,
checking in daily.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's like I feel like so many of us just it wasn't modeled for us by our caregivers necessarily how to take care of
right.
themselves.
Yeah,
It's like do
that's so true. Yeah, yeah,
sure. And so yeah, with each person, just like finding where we can weave in the self-care, but also what self-care is to you might look very different to what self-care is for somebody else. So really, each person it's like what's coming to me is like, when you buy like a self-help book and you get it out and you're like, oh, I'm gonna just do this structure, and then you're like, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to journal about that. So it's like we'll try different processes, different structures in your own life, and check back in until we kind of tailor what works for you, which is what we all
Right.
need.
Right. No, absolutely. Um, and in your experience, what's the difference between, like making art and then using creativity as sort of a healing tool? Because it's not just about healing, right? Art and creating is goes beyond healing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was a good question. Um, well, I remember before I had training in becoming an art therapist, and I realized the depth that you can really go to. So I loved making art my whole life, and it was
Hmm.
healing. I remember,
Yeah.
and probably you too, if you think back to
Yeah.
being a little kid, it was like
Yeah.
you're playing, you're processing, you're making sense of the world, you're having a great time, or you're making something for the art teacher, and yay, I got an A or whatever. But then and so just creating art is enough, and it's very healing. But what I learned in my training as an art therapist is like, wow, everything we express truly expresses a part of ourself. There's a part of
Yeah.
ourself being seen. And so if we can just learn how to build a relationship to what we express and understand why do we express that? And you don't always have to understand it logically, but I guess just like there's an honoring to it.
Hmm.
And also we can inspire others with our
Yeah.
art.
Yeah, no, true. Yeah. And it feels like creating things is a very human thing, you know? I mean, I've heard people often say that that is one of the main things that makes us human, and that's what we're here for. We're supposed to be constantly
Yes.
creating. It doesn't have to just be art, but
Yes.
but creating things is important. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that they're like, I'm not creative. I don't have a creative bone in my body. Oh God, I failed art. I couldn't, you know what I mean? But it's beyond, you're doing it for yourself first, right?
Yeah, it's also like if we could think of like everything we do as an art, our life is an art, the way we speak, the way we dress, the way our presence,
Yeah,
and you're so right. Like, I mean, if we think about like the history of humanity since the beginning of time, we express ourselves through rhythm and movement and
right.
um
Yeah,
ceremonies for funerals and weddings, and it's just how we honor and how we celebrate and how we grieve.
right, right. And so you have you work with groups and individuals, right? You do
Yeah, I have
classes and programs. Um, so tell us about those, but also, like, are there things that happen in groups that don't always happen one-on-one and versa? Is like there a benefit to sort of both kinds of work
That's a
and therapy?
great question. Right now I'm at a turning point. I have worked for 20 years with individual children, all ages, families,
Mhm.
groups. So right now I have a small virtual practice, and I'm also um, teaching therapists who are incorporating creative expression into work with their clients.
Ah,
And so
cool.
it's really wonderful now to take that knowledge and just share that. But I mean, it really depends on, of course, each individual, what they're comfortable with. You can do some really deep work individually, and then in group work, there's work that can be done in group work that can't be done individually because you're
Right.
feeling that support of like minds or getting inspired from others. And there's something really powerful about with any groups or workshops that I love about coming together in community and just
Yeah.
just supporting each other in whatever we're exploring or expressing or creating together.
Hmm. So what are some of the reasons people come to see you or join a group? What are some of those reasons that they're looking for help with art therapy and just therapy in general?
Yeah, it's a very there's the range of reasons from trauma, grief, struggles within the family. Um, and then so I have a lot of that kind of work. And then I have quite a few people that want to come to for personal growth and spiritual exploration and really wanting to more deeply question. their beliefs and to um, envision and learn how to create the lives that they would like to be living. So it's really the range of, um, I want to say the scope of what we experience as humans.
Right.
But I would say like in my past practice, a lot of grief and trauma work was my beginning point.
Hmm. And so I want to talk about your book again, just because we talked about, how it came to be, but The Girl Who Cried for the Earth. So what is the connection for you anyway between, art and the earth and, sort of evolving and, awareness and all that? What is that? What is, because
Yeah.
it obviously, the you have quite a connection to what's happening right on the earth
Yeah.
and all that.
What came to me through that entire process was so there's one painting in there that was, for instance, like a bunch of animals.
Oh, I
Um,
love that. I know, yeah, I know which one it is. I'll show it. Hold on.
and so
Exactly.
each one of those paintings has a story. Um,
Yeah, this one.
yes. And so
That's so
I took a
cute.
whole year of my life and I paid attention to any animal that came into my awareness. And so, for instance, like there's a picture, a painting of an owl and a coyote because one morning I just woke up at 3 in the morning and I went outside and I heard an owl hooting and a coyote howling at the same time.
Oh,
And I
wow. And this is
painted
in Maine,
them.
right?
This
Where
is in
you're in
Maine.
Maine. Yeah.
And
Wow, that's wild.
and
A
then
lot of
another
people
day.
won't ever hear that.
Yeah. Another day, I was driving into a workshop and I ran over a squirrel and just the grief I had with that. And so I painted the squirrel. And there's
Oh.
even a tick on the coyote because I had a nest of ticks all over me. And so it was really a meditation with how was how were the animals around me communicating with me and what
Hmm.
messages did they have? And so I was going really deep with how life was communicating with me and paying really close attention. And I had a vision, which is a picture of like Mother Earth's face, which is in there. And I
Hmm.
realized as I was painting that, so it came to me in my mind's eye that I was her and she was me. And, just the interconnection of all of life. And that what came to me through my process was that, oh my goodness, I wonder if as we create and express, so if we are aspects of the earth,
Yeah.
perhaps our own creative process is helping the earth to become more conscious and aware of the
That's
larger process.
so.
So it's really big. I'm
Yeah,
like,
no, I love
wow.
that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that, how did you come up, you came across that by just doing the artwork and or just thinking about it? Like how did that come to
Yeah, it
you?
was through my studies for my PhD program, also for my through my painting, just being with all of it. Um, yeah, I started to think about like, when I was thinking about like, like our liver has a bunch of little cells in it that probably
Yeah.
they don't realize they all make up a liver, just like
Right.
maybe we're like the cells of the earth making up a
Yeah.
larger being. And so if everything's interconnected, then of course our consciousness would inform the larger consciousness of Earth. So I'm just having all of these big awarenesses, and that
Yeah.
book was how I was integrating them and making sense of them so I could speak about them.
Yeah. I love that. No, that's amazing. Yeah, and you won the award from the Book of the Earth Award, right? Like, and that's very fitting for
Yeah.
where you were
Who knew
going with
there was an
that.
award like that,
I
right?
know, right? I love it. No, that's great. And that's the thing too. It's like, do you incorporate nature and the environment and stuff
Oh,
in
yes.
when you're working with your do you call them patients or clients? I don't know, but
Yeah, clients,
clients, yeah.
yes.
So
Yeah.
is that a big part of it? The
Oh, if
Yeah.
people are open to that, I mean, I try to remind everybody everything is nature. So even right now we're in nature, even in our rooms, we're in,
Yeah.
everything is.
Yeah.
But also there's so much research now around just if we can get outside, if you can sit by a tree for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
just how that the effects. I mean,
Yeah.
that is so healing in itself. Therapy is wonderful, talk therapy, but like go sit in nature, go sit in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels to like attune to the energy of the earth versus all the buzz of all the fears
Yeah.
and things we're thinking of that we have to do.
Right. Yeah. No, get out. And it might even help us with our creativity, right?
Oh,
When we're exposed
yes.
to the nature, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can just create, you just sit out there and that can be your little meditation. Just take the leaves and the sticks and put them in a certain pattern and create your own sense of beauty and let that be.
Yeah, yeah. What did it, when you realized the power in nature and the power in art and I think you call it creative consciousness or so how was that for you? Like what was that moment when you realized that there was like a power in that you can harness in art and creativity?
Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, these are really good questions. Um,
I'm getting into your brain.
yeah, it was a lot of these things, and I think that's why it's important to have these conversations with each other because a lot of
Yeah,
them they're inside of us, but we don't ever have communities to talk to
yeah.
about these things.
Right,
So
right.
I just realized, of course, through my studies, but also remembering back to my own childhood and now moving forward in life, the power of our imagination. So working with clients, it's like helping people to understand that we're all imagining whether we realize it or not. But if
Yeah,
we're anxious or fearful, we're just using our imagination to imagine the worst case scenarios and keep
yeah,
ourselves in that frequency. And so if we can use our creative practices to, become conscious, honor that, be with that, integrate that, then we can open our imagination to be receptive to new inspiration coming through. And so like that story was a new story for humanity
right,
that came through
right.
and we can all bring in a new part
Yeah,
to a new story.
yeah.
So it's really powerful.
It is powerful, yeah. And the more people, it's like that's why I like that book because it's just so simple and everyone can relate to it. And it kind of stops you in your tracks. Like you're getting the kids ready for school and you're going to work and you're, whatever, getting on the train and you're not thinking about anything, but you just stop and you think about that for a minute. It's like how powerful for everyone to do that. It's just so simple and beautiful, but I mean, that probably helps the whole world, right? If everyone got into this much more peaceful, loving kind of frame of mind, like how much good that would do as opposed to like waking up, turning on like scary bad news, getting angry about something, you know what I mean? And just that awareness, not just of yourself, but then the awareness of what's going on in the world and in nature and what's going on, right? What we're doing to the earth and all that. It's just like a lovely, nice thing, and it will help people themselves, it will help people find a little peace. Um, and that's probably important for the energy of the world, right? But yeah, and what you said about imagination. So how does imagination fit in to to what you do, to what people can do to help themselves with art, with creativity? I mean, imagining is very creative, right? Like that's the ultimate creative sort of power that we have. But like, how does that fit into all of this?
Yeah, I love that you're asking that because again, imagination, I've been trying to like put words to all of this, I feel like for a very long time. And um it's important for us to learn how to consciously use our imaginations because as I mentioned, if they're on autopilot, then we're using them to hurt ourselves basically over and
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah.
And so as far as what was the question? It was like understanding our
So
imagination.
yeah, like like how does imagination why is imagination so important and how does it relate to all the stuff that you're
Yeah.
doing and talking about and how can it help people, you know?
Yeah, it's like okay, what's coming to me right now is in the book, because you brought that up just a minute ago, it
Mhm.
starts, people will say, like, did you write this just for kids? And it's like, I wrote it for everybody. And I wrote it in a
No,
very
yeah.
basic way because
It's great for kids, but
yeah, it's like
it's
the
great for
childlike,
everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the childlike voice coming through. At the beginning, the little girl is, um, is seeing through the eyes of her heart. She can communicate with life. She's
Mm,
connected through her feelings, through her intuition. That's the imagination I'm talking about. Some people will say
yeah.
like, I can't, I don't see things in my mind when I imagine, so I can't imagine.
Right.
So imagination is not just seeing in our mind. It's like we're in bodies. So
Yeah.
how are we how are we communicating with life? How are we in the
Yeah.
bio that you read, you mentioned like the mythic work. And, if you think about, ancient cultures, like I said, in children, we were all connected to like animism in a sense. Like everything was alive. The stone
Yeah.
was alive. The trees
Yep.
were alive.
Yep.
And so how can we, I guess, be in relationship? And in the story, it talks about seeing through the eyes of your heart. And so it's like using your heart's imagination, your heart's
Yeah.
intelligence. So
Hmm.
how can we um, imagine and feel into new possibilities for ourselves as a humanity and as a planet through the lens of love, which is how we come into the world.
Right. Right.
And so I guess that's what I'm trying to reframe imagination in that sense as like an
Yeah.
embodied imagination, I guess, if that makes sense. So we're living
What did you say? What
Oh,
imagination?
embodied
Oh,
imagination.
embodied.
So
Yeah.
it's like
Hmm.
through the eyes of your own heart. So it's like your
Yeah.
heart and mind are connected. It's not just I'm thinking about this and I want to create this. It's like I'm Bodhi, I have a body and
You're almost feeling through it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm feeling through it while I'm seeing it. And if you're not physically seeing it, you're using your senses to help guide you into what feels in alignment.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I love that. Oh, how beautiful. That's a really nice way to think about it, right? Like imagine through your heart. Um, so you
Yeah.
have a wonderful free gift for everybody, a creative meditative self-care practice. So what is that? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to put together a wonderful PDF for you that's going to guide you in a practice just to help you hear and listen to the voice of your own heart. So it's actually a perfect segue into
Yeah.
what we're talking about. So a practice of deepening that ability to, again, to hear your heart. So not just hear, again, if we can do a little work around like all the thoughts that are happening, all the critical things that are coming in, and learn how to drop into our heart and create from that space. So that will be our practice. So
Amazing. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, very
nice.
cool. That sounds lovely. Thank you so much, Bodhi. It's been a total pleasure. I think there's a lot of takeaways that people can put into practice now. Just the awareness, like we said, awareness is so important, but just the awareness of knowing that there's tools like this out there that, what a great way to think about trying to work through and heal and create awareness, right? Through creativity. Like and everyone is creative. Like humans are creative beings. So it doesn't matter if you can't draw inside the lines, right? It's all about just doing it, right? And what a nice practice. I think that it will help a lot of people, right? It's a very good tool. So thank you so much.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much,
it.
Eva.
And how's Maine right now? How's the temperature? Is
It's
it?
freezing. It's freezing. It's in the 20s. It's freezing, and yeah, it's a very inner time right now.
I know, even here in New Jersey, it's all ice on the ground still. So, but that's winter. That's
That's
nature.
right. That's right. It's a
Yep.
good time to do this kind of work, everybody.
Exactly. Such a good point. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Bodhi. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Eva. You too.